Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. He's Mike Somich. This is Blinkers Off. What's up, man? Men? Women? What's up?
Children?
Children? Men? Women?
I'll answer to the children.
Okay. How's it going?
Good.
How'd you guys do today?
Great. Good day.
I had a case of secondinitis. It's
Yeah.
not a fun day, but it was still a fun day. I enjoyed the Breeders' Cup here. It was good for a solid day of racing.
Yeah.
Got to see some really sweet performances. I don't know what the voice is, Nick.
Oh, like when you were doing the. Oh, is it the huzzah or is it the like?
And
when
I'm
you were...
like, huzzah!
Well done. That's second-itis huzzah.
Yeah, it would be second-itis huzzah. That would be my
That's a-
definition of my
That was a fierceness huzzah right there. That was.
We don't bring that horse up here. We don't want
Thou
to
shalt not speak
Yeah.
his name. Listen, we won't talk a lot about today's racing. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about for tomorrow's. But just kind of quick recap, quick hits, maybe highlights of the day. Obviously, Big Evs was huge, ran a monster race. The time after putting up the time basically was right there on the front end and kept on going. And then of course, I get the big one tomorrow. Falters, does not run well at all. Doesn't win. And then of course, fierceness. Just, I don't know that we would have been surprised like last night, but like one of these horses will win like that. Like I think because we talked a lot about how there's a lot of interesting horses in the race. He was not one that you would have expected to run off the screen.
No, it was an interesting horse. Just from a tournament perspective, it became a really interesting horse when 6-1 became 17-1. So I was kind of surprised it floated up as much as it did. My main takeaway from the day and what I'm taking into tomorrow, speed's really good. Like across the 5 furlong sprints, you had to be close. Any dirt race, 1 turn, 2 turns, you had to be close. You look at just FYI, you look at fierceness. Both attended the pace. Both were too wide, both turns. Both aired. So you have to be close if you want to win. I think that we saw some lackluster efforts, specifically from Tamara, who I think we all expected to run a lot better than she did. Had a good enough trip, just could not take a gate to wire. But if you're not close on this course, specifically anywhere in the dirt or 5 furlongs on the turf, you've got to be the best horse by open lengths to be able to win.
Yeah, I thought with Big Evs, he was right up on that pace. He's going to have a hard time holding on. Held on, right? Tomorrow, no excuse, man. That was horrible. But just FYI, was right up there on the throat lash. So it was a gate to wire, but it was up on the lead.
The two who run second was third.
Yeah.
So just the inside. So
well, I think that was the most disappointing thing about her. It's like there's no excuse, right? It's like, she was on the lead and maybe she's going fast. No, the second and third place horses finished first and second. Listen, the fierceness thing. This is why horse racing is hard sometimes.
2-year-olds specifically.
Yes, because you and I are set at Santa Anita Saratoga when fierceness wins. We bet him huge that day, and it's like, wow, what a horse. We bet him huge to give him the champagne. He's absolutely awful. Get in this spot, and he wins, and it's just like I just can't believe that happened.
And I think this will help. It helped me a little bit.
He was fantastic, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not like he just won. Nosed out, held on barely, and Muth was right.
Muth got the trip.
Muth ran well.
One good.
He did. Hey, that's the thing.
Enough.
You weren't necessarily wrong last time in your opinion. Muth ran very well.
Yeah, Pierce
Just got his ass kicked by a horse that just was crazy.
There was not a part of that race from I'm worried about Muth. I was like, this is perfect.
No,
I thought he broke.
Great trip.
Isn't it crazy? Not to because he got his ass beat, but how he now is suddenly breaking and just sitting off. That's just happened seemingly overnight. It feels like with him.
And that race
he did really
me
well.
off because I faded Timberlake. I faded Prince of Monaco. And that's the horse that gets you.
I know, right? The other Pletcher, but it's even the owner. And I wanted to read this quote because I think this will help a lot of people and kind of what you're saying, how it's just absolutely impossible. The owner, literally, Mike Rapoli, says Todd and I all week have said if he is 6 by 12 or first by 5, we wouldn't have been surprised.
I see, but
we're not surprised. We're happy right now. So the owner and the trainer of the horse So you're like kicking yourself, like, oh my gosh, they literally had no idea how he would run.
Yeah.
Well, and look, we have like connection with Fletcher Barn, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, did Pearson's did he bleed or anything like that?" And they're like, "No, he just didn't run.
He wasn't good.
Yeah, he just was no good." And so you kind of go into this, and it's like, I don't know, like maybe he's just not that good of a horse. And then to roll like that was so mad because we looked at each other that day at Saratoga, Jared, and we said, "That's probably the juvenile winner." Like that was way more impressitive than anything we've seen up here this
Derby
week.
went, and the list goes on. Like he looked like,
and he ran so bad.
Didn't he get a triple-digit buyer in that race?
I don't think he got triple digit. He got like 90 something.
It was legit.
Yeah, huge. But it looked huge. Like you looked at it, it was like, wow, that was amazing. And then we saw that again today. But in between was something so bad that it's like, wow, unbelievable. Yeah.
It was a 95.
95. Okay, so I mean that's for a first timer, that's huge.
With the second and third horses both winning after getting beat by 11 lengths.
Yeah.
Like so, it's not like the race wasn't good.
And dude, we heard it. Dude, if I heard it once, legit. If I heard it once, I heard it 10 times. Like, well, he must just not like the slop. And I said,
but
he won in the slop.
Literally,
we were there.
Today. Yeah, I was like,
It was raining. Like
literally rained all day before he ran that race. Yeah.
What do you guys make of Locked? Because Locke looked completely disengaged and then was flying late.
I know.
Kevin O brings this up. Like Locke was moving, but like didn't have any interest mid-race.
I feel like
he was a little bit like that in the last race too.
I feel like you said it, I said it. I don't dislike Locked. I think Locked is a nice horse, but I think we kind of got him right. I didn't think he was a superstar.
The A+ effort from other horses beat him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So if they don't run the A+ and he does, he can win. But and that's not a favorite you want to back.
No, I don't think so either.
I think the bigger, I'm not going to lead that race thinking he's like awful. Timberlake, though, to me was like
he wasn't very good.
He was awful. And by the way, me and Ryan were sitting there towards where they can go in the tunnel.
Ryan and I.
It's been that kind of night for me. So
I did it only because of
I thought he was the best looking one of the bunch. One, he looked like a monster. Like he just physically looked like a good horse. And so I was like, got a little worried. I thought, if I'm fading him, but man, he never ran Prince of Monaco. Like he's a one-turn horse.
I heard from the Cox barn he was going to run huge, so I immediately chucked him.
Yeah, well, this was a Super Bowl, is what they told us, and so the Super Bowl did not go well.
No, not great.
He kind of he was sitting a pretty decent trip, but he just didn't make any kind of run whatsoever. And look, I mean, that was like the fierceness thing. That's what's the most frustrating thing. It's like he never looked like a loser in that race. No. He was so good. Thankfully, the last race, Unquestionable, really ran well and kind of left us on a positive note going into tomorrow. So that's good.
All right, so that any lasting impressions that you'd like to as far as today goes that you would like to speak now.
That to me was speed. If you could not be worse than fourth on the dirt going 2 turns, you could not be worse than fourth on the turf and win the race. You can hit the money, you can hit the board. If you want to win the race, you better be in the top 4 turf sprinting or going 2 turns on the dirt.
Were you surprised? Do you think it's any indication what we're going to see? Obviously, we have the turf sprint tomorrow. Many turf races, but as far as the turf sprint goes tomorrow, because when that first number came up for Big Evs, I was like, oh damn. And we do have what's the horse that you like a lot?
Crimson
Advocate. No, tomorrow.
Yeah, no, Living the Dream.
Who's
sub 2 to 1?
Sub way fast.
Yes.
Could be faster than Big Evs, frankly. And so that is. That gives you a little hope as well if you're backing that horse.
I'm not faltering in my opinions in who's going to win those last 2 races.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
It's Big F, Speedboat Beach, or I'm sorry, it's Living the Dream, Speedboat Beach. Call it home, baby.
I'll tell you another thing to help you. Not help you, but to further your point, like Jared said, there were a couple of closers that were really getting the ideal setup, and they just could not make up ground. Yeah.
They just went up and down when they turned for home.
Yep.
And that was if you were not there, like the 2 horse when who was that? The 2 horses when Tomorrow lost. Just FYI wins.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 horses on the rail. That horse should have won.
Yeah.
And just could not get by the entire stretch. And then finally the final 16 started to close. But just FYI when you compare the trips, just FYI, pressed Tamar early, 2 wide first turn, 2 wide second turn. That 2 sat on the rail, had a perfect trip, tilted out, and just kind of ran in place for a good 1/8 of a mile once they turned for home, and then got it going.
Yeah, you almost felt like way late. You thought maybe, and then no.
Yeah. If Magic was you, I'd tap him and say, "Hey, watch this 2 horse not get there right now."
But he's not here.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, he's not even in the video here. So good job, Magic. Appreciate that. All right. We have a huge show. I think what we'll do, because obviously I don't want to go through every single Breeders' Cup race. There's a lot going on tomorrow. Obviously, you go get the betting Bible. We got a ton of videos out on our YouTube page. So there's 5 of us here. So we'll each pick a race that we want to cover for tomorrow.
Okay.
The Breeders' Cup races. Everyone's got a job. One's in the shower.
Yeah.
Shawty, go in there and ask him real quick. All right. No, probably shouldn't have said that one. All right. All right, guys. Let's go. Let's get into it. Let's go. All right. Who wants to go first? Obviously, the classic needs to be talked about, so we'll get to that. But I'll let you go. Give us a race, and I'll bring it up here on the screen. And by the way, we could even let's do, since Ryan's in the shower, let's do 4 in a chat.
Okay.
Someone from the chat.
All right.
Bring in a race that you want us to talk about, one of the Breeders' Cup races.
Yeah.
And we'll go through it. So you go first.
Let's do the mile, turf mile, not there.
Excellent choice.
Good choice. All right, that is of course race number 6.
Oh.
Are you gonna do it? I was setting you up. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
The Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile being competed over the turf course at 1 mile distance. Purse $2 million for horses 3-year-old and I need to get the voice better.
We'll get it. Last night I got better at it.
That was a little bit.
Field of 14, going a mile, of course, on the turf, and yeah, it's a doozy, right? It's across the board. You've got Songline in here at 5-2, who I think is just gonna. I'm super pumped to watch her run tomorrow. But you got Master of the Seas, who's obviously ran too good to lose last out to up to the mark. Who will run later in the day. You've got Samage's boy Casa Creed, Gina Romantica, Maj, DeJour, who loves Santa Anita. Man, you've listed the race. I'll let you take it over, but that's a hell. I mean, this race, I'm with you. This is one of the best on the card.
Yeah, I think it's a great race.
Huh?
Didn't even mention Kalina.
Well, I think Kalina. I mean, if you're going to go 4 deep, I think you use Kalina.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I think it's a great race. I think Songline is just going to be better than these horses. I really do. I mentioned it as well because this is a race that I've had a lot of success with in the past, whether it be Space Blues, Space Balls, as we call them, that year, Modern Games last year, it goes on and on, right? So, yeah, this is a race where I just feel like Songline might just be that horse, right? I know this is a really tough race. I get it. And listen, Samage, Casa Creed, if Casa Creed wins the race, nobody's going to be shocked. Nobody's going to be, it's just like, yeah, that makes total sense. I just feel like when you watch the Songline, you watch the replays of Songline, boy, oh boy, she's going to be really tough.
Where did she come from?
Mid-pack?
That's my only concern.
Yeah.
Because I agree with the chat here. Maj, the 6-horse here, going to have what looks like a lone speed setup. Master Foxhound's a 7, also has some pace, but not really the pace that we saw from Maj. So if Maj gets out there, and I kind of go back to the Saratoga races for Casa Creed, where there was always someone in the lead, but Casa Creed was attending that pace very well and then gets first run. I have Songline on top. Watching how the track played out, I think Casa Creed's got a big shot here now.
I agree. I think the only thing that it's not really a rebuttal, but just kind of a devil's advocate, let's say. There were 2-year-olds today. You know what I mean? Like maybe.
Yeah, no, you don't.
You know what I'm saying?
One day doesn't make a trend.
Yeah, that's why I guess.
Certainly with 2-year-olds, right?
2-year-olds and Calbreds, and it's just like, I don't know.
And I would also on the dirt. I'm much more confident in the opinion because we've seen consistently on Breeders' Cup weekends and big days, speed plays well. They handle the track in a certain way where generally speed is favoring 2 turns, 1 turn, whatever it is on the dirt. On the turf, you usually have a much more fair racetrack. I mean, what do you think they go early here? I mean, 23:46, because if that's so, Casa Creed is gonna trip out, and then the question is, can Casa Creed get by Maj, and then where is Songline going to be to try and be able to close here? I think this is a really, really interesting race. It's one that I'm ending up 5 deep on my multi-race tickets, even though I think Songline has a big shot. I mentioned Kalina. I think she's got a big shot. It's the daughter of Frankel getting a weight break, coming in here off a Group 1 victory against the boys, 3-year-olds and up. So it's not like it's a bad spot. Yeah. I don't hate More Than Looks, a big price for Sherry DeVoe on the on 13 post, 15-1. Like I wouldn't be shocked if this gets one of the more pricier results of these races.
I think it goes like a 12-1 type, or it goes to the favorite. I don't think you get a middle price.
Interesting that Ryan Moore is riding Strongler too.
Yeah.
For Simon Callahan. Like European jockey, straight up US trainer, never run in Europe. And yet this is where he ends up.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this race it starts with Maj, in my opinion. Like that's a horse that went, tried to go or did go gate to wire, but it's a mile and 8th race. How fast did they want to go with her early on?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. The cutback in distance is going to force a significantly faster pace than what we saw.
Mm-hmm.
However, she went 47-3.
It's not like they were slow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now then the question becomes, how good was everyone behind her? I mean, Lindy Mission of Joy. Lindy, I actually think has a shot in the turf. It's a longer shot, but a shot. Mission of Joy, not great, right? So there's a little bit of question for me on the class win there. But this horse has ripped off 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I made over $800,000 this year. Yeah. It's pretty good.
It's like a totally under the radar horse too. I realize she's 4-1, but still, it's like there's not been a ton as far as the international contingent goes. This horse, she won the Guinness. She's like you said, she's rattled off multiple wins at the distance. She's 2 for 2. She's got speed. I think she is a huge factor as far as why I may not cash on the horse I love in this race is Songline, because she could run a really big race and not be able to get to a horse like Maj, and frankly, even a horse like Master of the Seas, who should run well here, but it's going to be another horse coming off of it.
When the post is awful.
That's ultimately kind of why I can't
get to a closer breaking from the 14 hole.
No,
that to me is
going a mile on the turf.
Yeah, it's not.
Well,
ideal.
I think even before we saw what the track was going to do and all this and that, you kind of knew the way this track normally plays. That's going to be tough for that horse. Master of the Seas we're talking about. That's going to be really tough. But his running style doesn't really fit here.
Yep. Okay, so we were joking, like the horse that would piss you off. So Aaron was really upset that Fierceness won today.
Yeah.
So we were joking.
You can say
the horse
that
would piss you off the most if they won tomorrow. And Gino Romanica came up.
Yeah.
A Chad Brown horse, and we saw Hard to Justify run phenomenal.
Yep.
In the juvenile Philly Surf. Who was it that said Gino Romanica would piss him off?
Me. It would make me really mad because the story for me and Gino Romantica is I had her singled twice up at Naira. They never ran the race. It got canceled both times. Didn't have her singled. I had an Italian singled the last time when they faced each other, and the Gino Romantica won. I'm not really. It's not like an active fade, but it's just like I didn't use her yet tomorrow either. Yeah. So if she wins, it's like I just can't get on the right side of this horse, So that would make me mad.
Honestly, I've gone everywhere from her winning to, as far as when I was going through my handicapping, to I think she could win.
Yep.
To
I agree.
I'm not going to use her. To I'm not, and everywhere in between. She just is because before that last race, it wasn't like she was.
That came out of nowhere.
Awesome,
Let's
right?
be honest, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did. She's just a horse that's been consistently running high 80s, low 90 buyers over and over. Done okay, but not good enough to win the big races. And then she goes and runs right by in Italian.
Yep. Now, however, 2 for 3 at the distance.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
So you got to respect that. But that First Lady was grade 1, but outside of an Italian, nah.
No, I agree.
Right. And so it's interesting there. Yeah. Who finished second in this race last year?
Second in this race. Cheryl Spite.
Who's running in this race this year?
Yeah, Cheryl Spite. Yeah.
Any chance? She ran a 103 at Keeneland.
Maybe. Yeah.
And the post position's great.
Yep.
Should sit on the rail. Ran second to Master of Seas. Was in a significantly worse post position this year. 30-1 morning line. I know there's some love in the chat.
Yeah, I don't love her that well this year, but I don't. I mean, it's not a complete impossibility. That's for sure.
I mean,
I'm in a hard pass. I'm just making the case.
I have a hard time. I mean, Mirage, Master of the Seas, Songline, Gino, or Casa. Like, that's a lot. There's a list. I threw him in. I threw him in. I just have a hard time believe that means all those horses have to, have not ran as good as.
It's what you're expecting.
Yeah, and that's tough.
So one of my horses I'd be pissed off, De Jour, if that horse won tomorrow.
Well, yeah.
Coming off a 102 buyer figure at Del Mar, loves the mile, 4 for 9 at the distance, 3 seconds. Pratt picks up the mount. I hate Baffert on the turf, but this is owned by the Baffert family. It's one of the few horses that he owns, that the family owns, that he also runs. Any shot tomorrow with De Jour?
I don't like De Jour tomorrow. Not in this spot. This is a super tough spot for that horse.
That last race was impressive. The only thing that gets De Jour in the winner's circle is just got that Bob Baffert factor at Santa Anita. I mean, that's the. I mean, it's not like one of those. If he won, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I just cannot believe that.
Yeah,
right.
I'll be like, it'd be more like,
I'll be frustrated.
Can't believe it. Of course, So I'm not going to sit down and oh my gosh, I can't believe I can start over. But so all right, any final thoughts on this race?
Listen, I like Songline. That's kind of my final thought on it. I went 4 deep, I think, in this thing overall. It's going to be one of those races where it's like, wow, that was worth coming out here to watch it. I really believe that. It's such a good race.
So much.
I'm going to end up 6 deep here. The horses who I like the most are the 6 and the 10, whose prices are going to be shorter than the 3. So if I'm going to bet a single win bet, give me Casa Creed. I think the price is right. And Casa Creed, by the way, beat this horse named Songline this year already, going a mile.
That is true.
It's not inaccurate.
No, that was at the Saudi. Was that Saudi? Yeah. There you go.
Second, and Songline missed the board.
Yeah, the horse finished 10th that day, Songline, but since then has won back-to-back Group 1 races. A great Group 2 last time out off the layoff. I expect the horse to run really well. Listen, the more I watch the horse, I went into the race not one, you don't know a lot about him. Two, I just wasn't thinking I would go into Songline, and then the more I watched her, I was like, oh man,
she's good.
She's got a wicked turn of foot.
Well, to be fair, she didn't really fly her with any kind of a race that day.
Literally.
Look. Well, listen.
Don't ruin my point. Just because the horse didn't run well.
Listen, I'm not saying Don't take anything away from Casa Creed, but
she's also at. She ran a mile and 1/8 on her last race, but and going at this distance, 9 starts, 5 wins. This is clearly where she wants to run.
Yeah, it's only her only bad race in 3 years too. She's been ultra consistent over the last 3 seasons. So
this could be number 2 tomorrow since I've got her on top.
So give me Songline, and I'll probably just jinx it because she is my best or my most likely winner of the day.
I did not know that.
On Saturday is Songline. All right, Samich, I'll let you. We got that race. Give me another one.
Okay, let's go. Let's go to the dirt mile.
Oh, you would.
You.
All right, you know what? I'll go.
No, do it.
I think the dirt mile is really interesting after what we saw today.
Okay, that's fair. Go ahead and do it.
Because Cody's Wish is not going to be in the top 4 early in this race.
No.
And Cody's Wish is going to be the heaviest favorite we will see tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because with the unfortunate news with Practical Move, Cody's Wish is going to be 6-5 or 7-5 in this spot.
Yeah.
Won this race last year, but just doesn't have the speed to keep up with some of the horses who are going to be here early. And this is a Boulevard of Broken Dreams Breeders' Cup race, because we're about to talk about National Treasure, we're about to talk about Charger, we're about to talk about Skippy Longstock, we're about to talk about Zozos.
Yeah.
And then a horse that is phenomenal in Cody's Wish, who's been awesome all year, and I think we all wished would have successfully stretched out more so we could see this horse in the Classic, but we're not. And now the track is playing against this horse in a spot where, look, there's no other sexy pick here. You really got to pick a horse with some warts if you want to beat Cody's Wish. But I think Cody's Wish has a good chance of losing tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but my problem was like, all right, I'm on practical move, then that whatever happened. I mean, we know what happened, but that was terrible. And then I was kind of on Algiers, a horse that was second in the Dubai World Cup. I was like, not that I like hate Cody's Wish in the spot. It's like I'm gonna take a shot with that horse. That horse looked pretty decent. Then he scratched, and it's just like, damn, I skipped the race because it's like, all right, I like Cody's. I don't really want to bet Charge It. I don't really want to bet Zozos. I just don't think they're very good. I don't. There's just nobody that I really like. I don't really want to bet Skipping Long Stocking, so it's like I'm gonna skip it. But I'm with you. Like, if what you're saying is accurate, which I think we're gonna find out this race.
Yeah.
If closers just can't get there,
He's
obviously he's gonna get beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But that's gonna be interesting to see what happens in that race. Yeah.
I mean, I think Zozos makes the lead and is there really for a long time.
It's one of those situations. We talked about this when Zozos ran last time, Jared. Yes, there's no doubt Zozo's going to get the lead. Yes, he's going to get the trip out. But you watch that Churchill Downs race, and it's like he got the perfect trip. Everything was great, and it just kind of felt like, to us, at least when we watched it, somebody like he was begging somebody to come get him, and there was just nobody behind him.
Yeah,
I just feel like even if it's track bias, I feel like somebody's going to get it.
So who gets it?
Well, Charge is going to sit that trip that just FYI sit, basically, right?
Okay, sitting right to the outside.
I think he's the one.
Second turn,
Yeah.
gets first run.
Yeah.
I think, and I did not think I would be this way. I think Cody's Wish is going to eat. I just think the way he's been training on the track, I think they've got him back to where they've been wanting him to run.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, trust me, there's nothing you like. The Vosberg, I was like, that wasn't awesome.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Obviously
the Whitney, I've mentioned that a million times on this show about.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be one thing it's one thing he lost, it's another thing he lost by 10. And so I get it. Trust me, but
Mario did freak that.
well, even then,
We'll get there soon.
he was never even close.
Yeah.
Like it'd been one thing if like he ran a nice race, but whatever at freak, you're like, well, shit. But he just, was bad. He's 7 for 7 at this distance. It's his last race. He won the race last year. It just kind of feels like it's going to be like we're going to empty the tank on this guy.
Well, but to be very fair, put all these horses in a vacuum, so to speak. He's way the best horse.
Oh yeah. The only reason you're not picking him is because you just you feel gross about doing it.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be 6 when they probably 3 to 5, 4 to 5.
I think he's going to be sub even money.
Dude, he might actually be.
I agree, and I honestly thought when this race drew, I was like, maybe he'll be 65 because I thought Practical Move would get a ton of love.
Practical Move created a completely different variable in this race.
Peace, buddy.
Yeah,
I know.
like,
And then-
seriously.
but then when that happened, it's like, well, this is a total follow. And honest to God, I think not as much as Practical Move. It would be crazy to say that, but I think Algiers scratching makes a huge difference. This horse finished second in the Dubai World Cup, and when you're looking for logical alternatives to a big favorite, he would have, he would have got money. Now
he beat Wolfie's Dynagos last out.
Well, and then there's that.
I mean, that's huge.
I almost believed you for a second. No,
Wolfie!
wow.
Oh man.
I
You
just
thought I would be bad on this.
I'm entertaining.
I just feel like we're gonna watch this race,
You just owled at the ceiling. You said, but I'm entertaining.
and you're gonna be like, "Well, that field was garbage." Like he just went by him, and it's like, "Well, that was just like."
Well, it's one of those races. It's not a good, as a Slim would say, it's not a good betting race. He would always say that. It's like, okay, the favorite should win, and then if the favorite doesn't win, it's like, well, who's it gonna be? It's a grab bag,
Right.
Yeah.
All right. We have no Ryan. I guess who's your best? Who's your pick? I mean, I'm sorry.
Zozos. Gate to wire.
Cody.
Okay, I landed on Cody as well. Let's see. Shotty, do you have a race you want to talk about?
Aaron's favorite, the distaff. You should totally.
I did.
Just kidding.
Well, I did see a bunch of comments about the distaff. So
I guess
you pick another one because there was a comment on.
Okay.
We'll do distaff
that's
and
right.
classic.
Let's do the
Yeah,
turf.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do the turf because that one.
That's a race.
Well, we got to do that one, right? Of course, that's a turf. So the turf. You didn't do the last one, Tom. Let's do the turf. for us.
The Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Turf being competed at 1.5 miles down the hill at Santa Anita Turf Course. $4 million purse. 3-year-olds and up. A competitive field.
Very competitive field. And
13 horses.
oh, I'm sorry.
We'll go postward.
It's like he stops just enough to where I don't know if he's done.
On Saturday.
I can't determine if this is good or bad, so I don't know.
In the 8th race.
Chat loves it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the funny part of it, people might be looking at downhill. Well, with Santa Anita, with the mile and a half, they start. I don't know how many furlongs it is, 2 or 3 furlongs. They start.
1.5 miles?
Well, I'm saying
That's
like
12.
how many they go off the downhill.
Downhill,
you
you
idiot.
dick.
I think it's 4 furlongs, maybe it's 3, but
I think it's 1.
I think it's more than that.
I'm going to go with 1.5.
Anyways, they do start on the downhill, and so it does have.
The price is right.
It does.
He's over.
It's the point of that being is it does factor in a little bit if you think maybe the horse maybe doesn't want to go all the way 1.5 miles. Even the trainer alluded to that a little bit, but and I'll bring that up because of Most Def, the 9 horse. A horse that maybe doesn't want to go 1.5 miles or hasn't really proven to be that elite at 1.5 miles. Gets the fast surface that he wants, gets the little bit of the downhill. But thoughts on this horse, and I think he's going to be the favorite, right?
Okay.
Like at post time, he'll be the favorite over Augusta Rodin.
He should be. Can we just hit the pause button on the horse doesn't want 1.5 miles? I've heard this all over the
place. That's a trainer, so.
And I realize we're 0 for 4 at the distance. I get it. This horse aired on the synthetic going 1.5 miles by 7 lengths. And what was that? In a Group 3 race. Okay, so 1.5 miles, non-age. Also, $1.5 million race on the turf, won 1 mile and 6/16 and won easily. So it's like I don't think the 1.5 miles really is a monstrous issue for Most Def. I agree with you. Going down the hill, it's more like a 5.5, 5 furlong turf sprint. So it cuts off some distance here from what Most Def's going to have to do. Like, what trip are we going to get? That, to me, is more of a concern than, like, can we get the distance?
I agree.
Especially since the 4 best horses in this are yours. I'm sorry, up to the mark. I love you. There are 4 better horses in this race than you.
Honestly, I think it's 5-9. I think you're going to put on an absolute show. August Rodin, Most Def, as you call them. I think these 2 horses are monsters. I mean, I really believe they're monsters. I think the upsetter is the 2 Ernesto. I think that horse, you look at the form, it's like, he just hadn't had a win, but it's like monsters that horse has been facing. So, but I'm with you. I really feel like, end of the day, the distance isn't going to be a problem for the 9. Look, Aiden O'Brien says the 5 is one of the more athletic horses he's ever had.
August Rodin.
Yeah. So I think 5-9 all the way.
I agree with you. The distance won't be a problem for the 9. The problem for the 9 will be the 5
Exactly.
airing the field.
Yeah.
That is going to be the problem.
I think the problem for the 9 is the 5, and the problem for the 5 is the 9. I mean, they're beast horses.
And like Ernesto, by the way, got smoked by Augusta Rodin 2 back.
Yeah.
By the way, last out, finished a really good 3rd in the arc to Ace Impact, 3 back, lost in Spiral, who was going to run earlier on the card. So I mean, yeah, like I'm with you. I think as far as the distance for Ernesto is sweet. Like it's a really good distance for the horse.
Yep.
So someone asked, like, what's your plan? So I have 2 entries in the BCBC, 1 at 52, 1 at 25.
Yeah.
August Rodin is a shove horse for me.
Okay.
If it gets to that point and I'm sitting there somewhere in that 3-5K range and I haven't hit something so far in the day and I need to get up there where I want to get to 20K so I can shove the last 2 races, this is a horse I think is phenomenal. I think this is going to be a superstar for the next 2 years. And when you look at the losses, so this horse was 6 for 9, 2 losses, both in Group 1s. The horse just didn't show up at all. When this horse shows up, he's dominant. And when Aiden O'Brien says, this is the most athletic horse I have in my barn, hopefully, there apparently were issues with the stewards today or the state vet and O'Brien horses. Hopefully it doesn't happen to Augusta Rodin. I think this is the best horse in this race. I think we're going to get every bit of 3-1. I love him at this price. I
mean, I am terrified, like as a Most Def supporter, I'm terrified of the 5. And I really went back and forth on who I would go with. I do think it's either one. to me, the way I felt, at least my opinion, was I think I don't disagree with anything you just said. I think he's a superstar. I think he is a future superstar. I think most def might be able to get him tomorrow. I don't know that he can get him. I think long term, the 5 is going to be huge.
You support the 9, but you're scared to death of the 5. You support the 5. Are you scared to death of the 9?
I'm more scared of the 11.
Really? Okay. Well,
I'm more scared of King of Steel.
Yeah.
Who is another 3-year-old who's coming in here,
Good
just won at Ascot in a $1.5 million race, has ran against the 5 multiple times, 3 times, never been able to beat him. But you look at the improvement we've seen race after race from King of Steel, Dettori riding this horse back after winning at Ascot last time. Like another one, loves the distance. This is a horse who's won at this distance 3 times, ran first, second, third in those 3 efforts. If you take out Auguste Rodin from this horse's like body of work, this is dominant and ran behind Nashua 2 back. Lost to Augustus Rodin by a length, but ran right behind Nashua, who's a horse that we've seen here in the Breeders' Cup the last 2 years. There's upside with the 5 and the 11. To me, that is the scariest part. I kind of think we know what the 8 is, and the 8 has been very good the last 2. Yeah. But if the 5 or the 11 improve, look out. I mean, they could be world beaters next year, literally.
I agree.
Like just going all over the world and beating everybody.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about these Euros, and I know you kind of alluded to it, but we'll give credit where credit's due. Up to the Mark has been unbelievable for us this year in the United States. Had a long layoff, or semi-long, from June to October. Came back, looked awesome, beat Up to the Mark, who definitely could win earlier on the card.
Master of the Seas.
Sorry, Up to the Mark beat Master of the Seas. Yes. So the point of that is we've talked about. I don't know if we talked about it on air or after the show, but if he were to win this race, he's horse of the year. So we're talking about a horse of the year caliber horse, but we're also saying no chance.
I'm not saying no chance.
And it's just, he has a chance, but it's hard. It's gonna be really hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is like
That's what she said.
Oh, God.
this is like. I mean, this is like this is like if LeBron James played a bunch of college kids tomorrow and then played in the NBA the day after. That's the class jump that Up to the Mark is making a year.
Well, and I think he's beaten like one European horse here and there.
Set piece.
Now he's got to be the biggest horse.
You beat Soldier Rising 2 back, Hong Kong Harry 3 pack. Like this is the best of the best of the best. And I
say that I kind of want him to win from a rooting standpoint.
I wouldn't be upset if he won.
Right? Yeah.
I have no interest in betting him at the price he's going to be.
What do you think he's going to be?
4-1, 5-1.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're right.
I mean, he's more than like 5-1. I think it's going to be that or shorter, and I think he is clearly the 5th best horse in the race.
What do you think the odds are off the let's say the 3 Euros you threw in your King of Steel, but what do you think kind of the odds look like as we get to post?
2-1 on Most of Death, 3-1 on Auguste Rodin, 4-1 on King of Steel, 5-1 Up to the Mark, 7-1 Honesto.
I mean, that's pretty damn close to what John has as far as the morning line.
I don't.
You had a good day today, by the way.
You're going to have a massive amount of money bet into this, and I don't think you're going to see any massive slides off those shorter numbers because this is a mature enough pool where the Europeans are going to get bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of respected money that goes into these things, so I don't think Up to the Mark is going to get massively overbet because of it. But if you want to bet a U.S. horse, a North American horse, he is your only choice in this race. Yep. I mean, I'd be shocked if any other North American horse except for Up to the Mark wins this race.
Totally. I mean, by the way, if he were to have ran in the mile, would you have picked him in the mile?
No. Probably would have thought about it more though.
I would have used him.
Yeah.
I would not have picked him.
That's probably fair.
I would not use him tomorrow.
Yeah.
This race is so
which go, by the way, I'm sorry, but that goes to show how good the horses that we have coming over here are. Because this is a horse who's been flawless this year. And we're like saying, well, if he ran that race, maybe I use him.
He loses if he runs his best race.
Well, I was talking to
that's crazy.
I was talking to Michael, and it's like sometimes we'll get 1 or 2 really nice horses. It's just from Europe in this race. it just feels like this year it's like, my God, every one of these horses that are coming over here are capable.
Well, it's not just
Yeah.
that. You have one complete known quantity in most of
Yeah, right.
and you have two horses that could freak.
Yeah.
In the 5 and the 11, and then you have this other horse which no one's really paying that much attention to in the 2, Onesto.
Yep.
Who's really freaking good.
It's a
Like,
good horse. Yeah. Really good
like,
horse.
like really good. And so it's like I'm not ready to sit here and say, man.
Well, I mean,
You
a
know-
lot of years, if Onesto comes over and that's it, right? And
Yeah.
so these other ones, it's like, well, I'm playing Onesto.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a
but
lot
now
clearer.
It's like, geez, yeah.
You have a very clear understanding of like if this race particular, like, well, that's the Euro horse, like that's the one.
The Arc de Triomphe. It's a $5 million race.
Mhm.
One of the most prestigious races in Europe, where you see the best turf horses in the world go there.
Yep.
And Ernesto ran 3rd in that race.
Yep.
Only missed by a length in the 3rd or 3/4, and is your 5th choice on the morning line.
It's crazy.
Like, welcome to the Breeders' Cup Turf.
And it
Yeah.
makes sense that
Yeah.
that horse would be.
It's
Like,
not wrong.
Yeah. No.
Because you can't. I mean, there's too much talent in the race. It's just that kind of race.
Yeah.
It's one of those races to me that whether you love Most Def, whether you love, I'm gonna say it forever.
That's fine.
And whether you love, I guess, Rodin, like Ernesto, Kings, like whoever it is, like you have to do your opinion and just press it.
Yeah.
If I personally am playing the 9/5 straight cold.
Yeah.
You might play 5-9 or whatever, but like the bottom line is like it's that kind of race to where you just have to press your opinion and frankly be like, dude, I'm either right or wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be any of these horses could run very, very well tomorrow and not win.
This is the race that is least likely to produce a horse winning in double digits.
Think so?
I agree with that.
So many horses
Yeah.
would have to not fire
Yeah.
for this to produce a double-digit winner.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's fair.
I agree with that.
So that's it goes back to why you need to press.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting a 20-1 here.
No.
You gotta pick
You're
your
not.
3-1. Like it's just a very different betting.
But you're also getting a fair enough price on good
yeah,
horses.
the value at 3-1 isn't bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you just have to pick your 3-1. You can't be like, I'm gonna go 4 deep and play all 4 Euros. That's a losing strategy.
Yeah.
You gotta put your flag in the ground.
4 up to the mark. He's thinking like, holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Like I barely handle Master of the Seas. Now you're giving me these monsters?
Well, like I say, if Up the Mark
Yes.
wins, he's the horse of the year.
Easily.
I don't want any debate.
It makes that case way easy
Yeah.
as far as that goes.
agree.
Because if he beats this field, he is yeah.
He's also gonna have to close it.
Fine. Well,
Like,
yeah.
that's the other problem.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of
He's gonna have to do a lot.
And the thing about it is, how can you disrespect him? He's been so good, but at the same time, it's like, man, that is just such a tough ass. For this
He's also never gone mountain.
Well, we'll see. I guess you're not gonna pick him. What are you picking?
I have to go with Most Def. I just think this horse is going to be a little bit too good.
Go ahead.
Auguste Rodin,
Yeah.
open links.
Ooh, open
I'd be
links.
fine with it, honestly.
2+. I like.
Honestly, I
I got
hope
everything running through the 2 horses.
I hope it's the 9 for me personally, my betting. But I hope one of those 2 puts on like
Mhm.
a performance where you're like, holy shit.
I will have a large, with or without the BCBC, I will have a large 5 over 911 try.
There you go. I mean, I think, and that
I think it's clearly those 3. If you want to play the 911 or the 5 over 911 with 2 911, 2 911 super, I think it's Euro sweep.
there you go. And it's not that crazy to think it's gonna happen. I mean, it's pretty.
No, I mean, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
there you go. There's the turf hell of a race. I mean, just
Phenomenal.
unbelievably good race. All right, let's see.
You haven't picked one.
Okay, I'll pick the distaff. Well, no, the distaff was in the chat. We'll go ahead and do the distaff. I'll pick the classic by default. But let's go to the distaff, which is what race is
Race number 7, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Distaff, being competed at 1 1/8 over the dirt course for fillies, 3-year-old and mares, 3-year-olds and up. First, $2 million. It's wide open. Let's go.
So, while we just got done talking about a turf race that's unbelievable, the stars have come across from all over the world to show up for the turf.
Who's your filly?
Now we get a distaff where class tends to win this race. The question is, who is the class of the race and how do they win? Because if you want to talk about the class right now, I mean, it'd be hard to go past Eomatic. I mean, his horse has been really, really good lately for Brad Cox. Obviously, we know Brad Cox and Flo have teamed up to win this race before. 5-2 on the morning line. I'm on the. My opinion is this is a horse who's been the horse that's gotten every easy lead possible, has not faced any pace pressure that's any good, is going to get it here. But I understand why anyone would pick. From whom? Well, for one, Hoosier Philly will be one. By the way, I forgot to mention Pretty Mischievous is out or is going to scratch.
I'm pretty sad about this. This is my top pick.
I think Randomized goes with.
I think Randomized is a horse. Obviously, I think Search Results is a horse is forwardly placed. Adair Manor is a horse that's been on the lead every race. But the point of that is, I believe I'm under the impression that we are going to see some sort of a pace meltdown here. Who's going to pick it up?
I don't care.
You're just waiting for me to finish so you could.
Wet paint.
Wet paint, yeah. Wet paint.
I don't hate that horse.
No.
This
I kind of hate the horse, but I don't hate the pick. Let's put it that way.
Okay, if you're going to play track 5, Search Results wins this by open lanes. Because Search Results is going to get the exact trip that we saw every horse going 2 turns on the dirt get today that won.
Yeah.
She's going to sit there in second, third, whatever you want. She's going to get that trip. And for all of the hate that Search Results gets, she's actually run really well.
I know.
Like, and you go through the races, like she's been ultra competitive. She's got 300 plus buyers. She's got tactical speed. She doesn't quit. She keeps going. Someone needs to pass her. I kind of like Wet Paint. If Wet Paint's able to close, if the track is able to kind of allow a closer to win a race, I think it's Wet Paint and Clariere are the 2 horses you got to talk about quite a bit here because Clariere has the class. I mean, I know you mentioned Idiomatic, but Clariere, I think, has the bigger wings across the breadth of her career.
Mm-hmm.
And Wet Paint has the style that wants me to bet this horse. And at Wet Paint's best, she's going to have to improve to win this race. But at her best, the logical improvement makes her fit in this field, and she's 10-1.
I've seen some in the chat as well. Like you mentioned closers. Like how about La Davida? I mean, that's a horse that has been able to close in the past and collapsing races. Tried to close last time out, couldn't get to Idiomatic. To me, that's a horse that I'm interested in as a long shot underneath because I do think this horse could get a piece of it if this thing collapses. And at 20-1, I mean, shit. Like, I think there's worse plays underneath that you like. Say, for instance, like Idiomatic gets it misses the board, gets tired, and like now you play like a Clariere over La Davida or whatever. Like to me, that's a decent play.
I picked that horse a lot this year. La Davida.
And judging by our past performances, you have not been right.
Won once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with everything you said, but it's also like, man, it's just really hard to think this horse is going to win, I guess, where I'm at.
No, I'm with you on that because, I mean, it's hard. How do you do it?
I shouldn't have said I don't care. I think care. It's going to be a fun race, but it's just like this just doesn't feel like a Breeders' Cup race to me.
But you could
No, it feels exactly like the Breeders' Cup distaff. But no, I'm serious. It's what a wide open race where we've consistently seen pace collapses in this race. We had the Japanese horse that won at 30-1 last time we were in California, or Malathat couldn't pass anyone down the lane.
Right.
But that is the feeling that I get from this exact same race, where I agree with Jared. This signs the okay. If Hoosier goes, if Adair goes, if Idiomatic goes, if Randomized goes, they're going to be stumble buddies on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
And it is right for someone to just, at a bomb price, pick up this race and go on by. It's the question of, like, does Idiomatic take the pressure, or can she handle it? Right? Is this a Knicks Go situation where she's going to go 23-46 and just run away from him, which is possible?
Yeah.
Or is it someone being able to actually close into that pace?
I think what's very interesting about Clariere here is that we've seen all year. I mean, I'm sure there's been a few in there, but most of the year she's faced fields of like 4, 5, And so like there's going to be more pace pushed. Like she's been forced to maybe run it a little bit differently than she has in the past because of the lack of pace or whatever. Whereas today or tomorrow, she's going to get the setup. I mean, at least on paper, it seems that way. And she's the one you can count on, in my opinion. I mean, I know that last race was a little bit of a dud in the first instance, but that was just a little bit, an insane race. So I think that, that's one of those horses you can look at the slop and be like, well, maybe that was just,
over to in the slop.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of a quirky horse.
Yeah.
I think it's weird in a way because it's like finally Clariere who again, this is Steve Asmussen trains this horse. Steve Asmussen has like 3 billion horses. But when Clary Arian there's never a rabbit. It's always like 4 horses. It's like, what are you doing? Just enter a rabbit and try to get her pace. He never does it. Now we finally have the pace set up. And one of the most consistent horses that we have in training all of a sudden is off form. At least when you look at the past performances.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell, right, for her? But
So 2 points.
Mhm.
She's 1 for 6 at Saratoga.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a Saratoga.
yeah, could be.
Second one. She was in that Breeders' Cup Distaff at Del Mar.
I know.
She didn't pass him either. It's like
Hey.
she ended up 4th.
And
Like,
to
Yeah.
double down on that, Somich, she should have won last
She-
year. She was right there last year to win it.
Couldn't get past Malthot, couldn't get
Yeah.
past Blue Stripe.
And I'm not going to blame you for about that.
But once again,
I am going to blame you for not getting past Blue Stripe.
but counter to the counter, this is a bunch of shit in this race.
Yeah, I mean, recounter 4-1.
Again, yeah, fair.
Like
fair recounter to the counter to the counter.
maybe
Yeah.
5-2 when we actually break. Like, is that?
I know. No,
Yeah.
I know. I get it. That's why, and you just summed why I hate the race. I hate wet paint. I mean, I'm not saying the wet paint can't win. I just don't want to play with her. I don't want to play Clary Air like 5-2. This race sucks to me.
This feels like a race Brad Cox 6 horse gate to win.
You know what?
It just does.
If that
Like,
happens, we're all gonna go. God, we're so dumb. Like,
I mean,
this
I
race
think
is
Mac
such a
on
good-
top.
Yeah, we
so good
overthought
right
that
now.
race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. It feels like a race where Idiomatic is faster early than everyone else,
And maybe that happens.
and everyone else backs off, and then
Yeah.
she goes gate to wire.
It could happen.
And you
I
can look
remember
back and
that
be like,
time,
yeah.
5-2 on Idiomatic.
Well, and here's the
Well-
difference. Like, you're talking about Nick's, like the Nick's
Knicks
go.
go, yeah.
This is not Nick's.
It's a Brad Cox wire to wire.
But-
show,
right,
yeah.
but this is
no,
not Nick's go.
She's not near
No.
that level. No. She's also the most consistent of these horses.
I mean, look, she's rattled off 4 in a row.
Right now, yeah.
She's back-to-back Grade 1 wins.
She puts up more 100 buyers than Jared does crushing tenders.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. The game's been pretty hard these last couple of days out here.
Sure.
Wording.
No, I mean
Wording.
hard in a good way.
Hard.
Oh my
Ooh.
god.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Oh. Okay. Anyways, you know when you get so much to get no comment, you know that it was a good line. Okay. Anyways,
I want to reiterate. You guys thought I would be the bad one on here. Samich has been bad.
That's
now
very
you've been
true.
bad.
That's
I
very
haven't had
true.
any.
you
bad.
actually have
I have no
outperformed.
bats.
You've outperformed
bats.
the form that you had on paper going into this
You
game.
were 21 morning line. You're running like a
Yeah.
One more race to go.
We'll see. There's time. All right.
There's
Give us your pick. This race.
Oh, for this race,
Go on.
I want to vomit
You
on
have-
who I picked in this race. I picked Claria.
So much.
Bad pick.
Oh.
Yeah, although, yeah, let's
Another
because this is a breaking news story here because I don't even know who you're picking. I know you get pretty mischievous. Who
Yeah.
are you picking?
Idiomatic go gate to wire.
Idiomatic. Gate to wire.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going Clarier as well. Don't
Bad pick.
don't. I just think the pace setup is too good. But listen, there's
Probably-
very little of this race that could surprise me.
She isn't.
Huh?
No, she's not.
No, she's not. All right, let's go to the main event, of course, of the 2 days, and that is. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
That's you.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah.
the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic being contested at 1.25 miles over Santa Anita Turf Course. Race number 9, Saturday. Purse of $6 million.
Good job.
3-year-olds are not, baby. Let's go the Classic.
The classic is here. 13 horses in the race. Well, 12, I guess. Arcangelo is out. Oh. Should I just start over, you think?
What? What happened?
That's actually factual. You just kicked the stall. It's
Well, I know, but I didn't.
There's
I
nothing
didn't,
bad about Arcangelo.
I
He's just
know,
sad.
but I
That's-
know.
that's
That's true. He
He's
is.
alive.
He's
he's
alive.
fine,
I
yeah.
mean, that's in this day and age, that's
It's a win,
a
yeah.
win.
Yeah.
All right, field 12. I mean, this is it's one of the it's better than the distaff. Don't get me wrong, but it's also one of those races that you don't. It's on the turf. You don't have like
No.
it's been that kind of year all year, where you're at a point where like I think Vita Barrio might win this race, or I think this is the year that Japan finally wins the classic, or Saudi Crown, maybe Brad Cox. That's another one that you think, well, I'm bypassing that horse, whatever. You can't get the distance. Maybe he goes gate to wire. Like there's a ton of options. Arabian Night, Bob Baffert. We know he knows how to win this race with 3-year-olds. He's the guy that, if there is a 3-year-old to win this race, it's Bob Baffert. We've seen it many times. He's got Arabian Night has the blueprint of one of his horses, especially like a Bayern or something like that. So, thoughts on the Classic?
This is a tough race. I was pretty set that I was going to take Arabian Night on top and being willing to push this horse, and it's going to be a short price. I hate the draw for Arabian Night. Now, saying that and then watching today, it's not such a bad thing to be outside speed.
Just FYI, I had no problems with this.
Neither did Fierceness. This was the exact trip you're going to see.
Yeah.
If Arabian Night drew inside, I would be heavily favoring Arabian Night in this race. But the fact that you're outside of Saudi Crown, I think the Saudi Crown is going to 100% go.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now you're going to force Arabian Night's hand to figure out am I going to be able to stalk and win? Am I going to be able to make my own trip and get the win? And I don't know if we know that answer, and I'm not willing to find out at 8-5, at 7-5. Like, I don't want to bet a horse as the favorite doing something new. And that is what Arabian Night's going to need to do. You're not going gate to wire here. Saudi Crown will not let you do that. And so the question is, can we stalk and win? And I don't want to bet that price. And then I look around and White Barrio, sorry, man, I don't trust you. Like, I don't think you're the best horse in the world. And that's what we're supposed to see here. Yeah. To me, there's two horses that are really interesting here. One is Ushpichisoro, Japanese horse who is a freaking monster, just built huge. That's going to get the setup, wants to run mid-pack, wants to run them down late, should be sitting 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere like that. Ran phenomenal when he was overseas in the Middle East last time we saw him. And then the other horse that I gravitated toward, and I think it's a monster chance here, is Bright Future, who I would have picked to win the mile had he been in the mile. And Todd Pletcher chose not to go to the mile and to send this horse here. And you watch all day today, and it's like tactical speed, tactical speed, tactical speed. You know what Bright Future has in spades? Tactical speed. This is the horse that's going to be sitting directly behind Saudi Crown and Arabian Night as they bang heads. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting 10-1 on a horse that just won the Jockey Gold Cup, that had was considered one of the highly touted Pletcher horses at 2, and just didn't quite get to the track, and has run back-to-back monster races and has a huge chance to take a step forward here late in the 4-year-old season. Yep. Sign me up, man. I want a price here because I think this race is incredibly difficult.
He ran, those last 2 really have been really good, but that last race was he kind of gave you oh,
no,
maybe he might be something.
And we're not going to go to the mile.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Charge It. He opted to go to the mile, to the dirt mile, that is, instead of Bright Future, which I kind of thought Bright Future would be in the dirt mile, right? I mean, just kind of on paper, I thought that and maybe Charge It would be in this race when he really shouldn't. But bottom line is, I don't hate. I kept getting to Bright Future, and then I was like, I don't know. But I definitely see it. I'm not.
I didn't expect to pick the source.
I mean, those are the best picks sometimes.
We talked about this in the Magic Bike Show. Sometimes the Breeders' Cup, because you know all the horses, you come up with this predeceived notion of who you're going to pick, and that's the worst thing you can do as a handicapper. Erase the names, figure out who you like on paper, and then watch replays. Figure out if those replays validate your opinion, and then pick a horse. Don't pick the name. And a lot of people picked the name this weekend, and I have been guilty of picking the name. It's one of those cases where I like Bright Future. I didn't think I would.
I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like this race in itself is that way, where it's like we've been doing on Blinkers Off over the last month or so, every week, who's your classic horse. And I think 1 week I had some, but after that I switched to Ushpa, and it was kind of at first this kind of feels like the year Japan could win this thing. And then the more I Ushpa, and I'm I really, and then the more I saw him on the track, and then he had that prep. Oh, this might actually be the makings of Japan winning this race. I really like Ushpa.
Yeah, it feels it.
You may Ushpa to sore you tomorrow.
Because to me, it's the deal with him for me is it's not it's some Japan horse that's coming over and it's you hadn't really seen, or This is the Dubai World Cup winner.
Yeah.
So like he has that aspect as well.
Yep.
You can argue that race wasn't like the strongest Dubai World Cup, but
No.
bottom line is he won a mile and quarter race in Dubai and did it like visually was very impressive.
Yes.
And then came off the layoff and did what he was supposed to do in a prep race for this over in Japan. I like that he can sit more tactical as well. Like he's not a horse that has to go, has to sit way off. I mean, he will be able to, I would think, sit in a position that he can, because I don't think he wants to come from like the clouds out of this one.
And before we like knock that race too, who was the favorite to win the Breeders' Cup Classic when that race was run?
What are you talking about?
It was the Baffert horse who he stomped.
Oh, Country Grammar.
He beat him into the ground, and that was your favorite. That was supposed to be the best older North American horse
At that time, I
and he
mean,
destroyed
obviously.
him.
Well, a lot of horses beat him though that day. He didn't run very well.
Ushba ran great.
No,
I
agree.
but
I agree.
Who do you like?
I honestly, I think you got to keep it simple. If Whitebario runs the Whitney, they're not beating him. Period.
I don't disagree, and I'm using him on top with the exacta I'm playing, but it's a big if, right?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a big if. I don't think it's any more a big if than any horse that enters, honestly, in any race. Because
It's not a big if he runs back to the Whitney.
no, I'm not saying I don't think it's a big if that he runs that Whitney race tomorrow. I really don't. Because when you think about it, he ran in the Met Mile. He got beat by a horse that is just elite at a mile. Then he was nosed out for second. I thought he ran a much improved race first time for Detro. Second time for Detro, he was fantastic. He's come out here and worked really, really well. All the reports in the morning are the horse is doing really, really well. I just think he is going to run that race. And if he does, I honestly don't think there's anybody that can beat him if he does.
And he's got tactical speed, good draw
Yeah.
from the three posts.
Yeah.
Like
I just hate that the layoff. I mean, it's just like
absolutely.
such a hard task to get a horse from.
Detro,
I know.
22%, $4 ROI off the layoff.
I mean,
I
if the
just
guy
really-
can do it, it's
I
him.
really feel here's the deal. And this is why listen, I don't want this sumbitch to win, but this is the deal. This is about money. This is about betting, right? You watch these horses, that race is way better than everybody else.
Can you imagine leaving that track that day and being like, "That's my classic horse."
Counter, just he beat a field of 6.
They were in another zip code when he crossed the line.
He also beat
That's the thing.
Zandon in another zip code, and Zandon came back to look decent.
Zandon won.
Like,
Cody's Wish came back. to
Raise
win.
your hand if you're picking Zandon in the top 5 in this race.
Well, Vinny picked Zandon to win. So
It's okay.
I mean, I think Zandon definitely can hit the board.
Hit top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. I obviously don't like Zandon tomorrow. I'm not gonna be like that, but
But I just like you look at this field. It's a field of 6. It was Zandon,
next out winner.
right? But someone we're not even considering for this race.
Right, but a next out
Okay.
winner.
Cody's Wish, who
Next out winner.
right? Okay, but again,
Someone who's 3 to 5 to win a Breeders' Cup race.
right, but can't get the distance. So
Fair.
irrelevant to the mile and quarter.
Yeah.
Charge It, who chose not to run in this race.
Charge it.
Giant Game,
Sucks.
This is awful.
Last Samurai.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Are we sure that's not an inflated buy?
Dude,
There's no.
I mean, that was
definitely
it
sure
was
it's not
it was an
inflated.
impressive race.
I mean, he won by 100. But look,
He won by 6.
if you want to say he's not going to do that tomorrow, that's fair. Like, I think it's 50-50, but I don't think it's 100% certain. Oh, he will never do that again. I really don't, because we've seen this guy, right? We've seen Detro. He's done this a lot.
I question the race. I don't question. I don't think the number is as good as the race is.
I mean, listen, I think it's just as likely the Whitebario wins as it is like your horse. I mean, because to me, like, you look at a horse like Bright Future, but he's still got to do something. He's still got to run a race that he hasn't ran yet to win this thing.
Yeah, no.
And I think that's a lot of case for these horses, and that's why I think to what Halterman's point is,
My point.
like, yeah, but they all have to do something, right?
I don't think anybody's been to that level. That one race is better than anybody that's
It's very fair to say the winner of this race is going to run their best race of their career. Right
I agree with that because it's either going to be White Barrio or it's going to be one of these other ones that jumped up and ran a better race than normal. I mean, here's the deal. Many years, the Baffert improving 3-year-old would be my pick in the race. But I watch Arabian Night, who absolutely could win tomorrow. I'm not saying he can't. But I watch him and I'm like, I don't think he's that good. Similar to how I looked at Muth in this race, who ran fine, but I just didn't think he was that good. That's where I'm at.
All right, let's talk about. Let's see.
He's going to be the big favorite, I think. I think Arabian Night's 2-1. Go ahead.
I agree with you. It's one of the reasons I can't bet the horse.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be sub 2-1.
Saudi Crown. Let's talk about Saudi Crown. This is an interesting horse because this is the one that I would, as soon as the horse, won or ran last time I won, I was like, please send this horse to the dirt mile, please. Like, he will not lose in the dirt mile. And then it was like, oh well, we might run the classic. Obviously, the goal for them is the Saudi. They want to go to Saudi.
They would like the crown.
They would like the crown. That's the owner would like the crown in Saudi. Makes sense, right? But so I was like, man, that makes sense. Go to the dirt mile, then go to Saudi. No, they're going to go to the classic. Hasn't been, has ran mile and eighth races, last 2, got beat by Forte 2 back in the Jim Dandy, won the Pennsylvania Derby. Both times though, it's just like obviously lost, but even the last time it's like, like he's quick and he makes you work for it, but mile and eighth, he was tested. It's hard to believe that a mile and a quarter he could get the job done.
I think the track's really going to help him, but I don't think it'll help him enough.
Second best last outlier in the field.
Yeah.
Behind Puerto Barrio. One of the few horses that's run multiple, 3 or more 105s.
Mm-hmm.
Traction to system. I don't know why Dreamlake doesn't beat him tomorrow, though. I thought that the Parks track assisted him massively in that last race, and Dreamlake was coming from the clouds against no pace.
Yeah.
And Dreamlake missed by a half length.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting 30-1 on Dreamlake. I'm getting 12-1 on Saudi Crown. Like, I would much rather take Dreamlake at the bigger price here. If Arabian Night doesn't break, Saudi Crown is really dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't bet horses because I think someone else isn't going to break.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think we could be sitting there like top the stretch, even midway through the stretch, thinking, Saudi Crown's like he's trying because he is a trier. Like every race he's ran in where it looked like either he was going to lose or he was like he did lose, but it was close. I mean, the 2 losses are by nostrils, and so it's like he's gonna give anybody issues, whether they pass or not. And I think that, to me, him being in this race was a bigger issue for Arabian Night. When he get it, I was like, oh shit, that's the pace you do. Like, if Arabian Night was in here without Saudi Crown, I would feel a lot better about him.
Well, Arabian Night is just faster. It's the difference in like the pace, right?
Yeah.
There are pace horses, and then there are horses who are fast.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Crown and Arabian Night are fast, right? They have high cruising speeds. They're going to get to the lead. They can go 46, 47 and keep going without pressure. 2 horses in that race creates pressure.
Yep. No, I agree.
All right. So let's talk, as far as the 3-year-old goes. And I mean, this is a race that we know Baffert, or, it's no secret. Bob Baffert has won this race many times, but he's won it with 3-year-olds many times. In Arabian Night, we talked a little bit about Arabian Night, but he fits to the T, right? Like the whole, okay, he's the horse, and then we sit off of him after the Southwest. We don't really know where he's at, right? Comes back in the Haskell, runs okay, especially when you consider, Go Rocket Ride beat him, and of course Go Rocket Ride, finished second in the Pacific Classic. I mean, it's a hell of a horse. And then Pacific Classic, he was awesome. I mean, he was good. He was really, really good in the Pacific Classic. So it's like, he definitely fits the bill, but he's one in particular that's going to be a low price. That's got to run a monster race that he has not yet ran. That's my biggest issue with him.
I think when it comes to the Classic, it takes, and maybe not this year, because this year is just such a bleh year for racing, right? To put it weirdly, but usually it takes an elite type of horse, a wow performance, a horse that's just kind of flashy, right? Arabian Night has never been that. And I think that was my biggest thing. Like when you look at all these horses, the only one that really flashes off the screen is White Barrio. And I realize it's just that one race, right? But like Arabian Night, like you watch the Southwest and it's like, yeah, it was good, but sorry, Shotty, but it was Red Route 1. It was chasing him home, you know.
Hey, it's your horse first.
I know. And then you go to the
Literally
Haskell.
chase him home.
Right. Well, you go to the Haskell and he loses. Then you go to the Pacific Classic and it's like, give him credit, it was a nice win, all right? But it's like you didn't see brilliance. You didn't see like Bayern and the Woody Stevens type brilliance, right? Where he
He had to cheat to win too.
Well,
In the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Bayern, he's a Baffert horse to begin with. So anyway, but you didn't see
He
like
cheat twice.
you didn't see that brilliance. You just saw, hey, he's good. Hey, he's good. Hey, he's good type of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not like the whoa type of effort. And that's why ultimately, if he wins tomorrow, not going to be surprised at all. But I just can't back him at that short price.
I mean, the one counterpoint, he went 46-3 in the Pacific Classic.
Mm-hmm.
No horse has gone sub 47 in the rest of the field. 46-3 versus 47 is a 2-length lead. That you are clear.
But if he has to get out, get in position, also get past Saudi, and then Saudi's going to be like, pack it up.
I think he will though.
I mean, he's going to try to run with Arabian Night, which is definitely not going to help him.
But if Arabian guy gets to the rail by the first turn,
would be a hell of a move.
I mean, that's what you have to do though.
Yeah.
But if he does,
He could.
and that's why that 46 matters. Then
Yeah.
Saudi Crown has to go too wide and never challenges again.
Yeah. But how fast did he run that first?
That's
Now let's.
can he go 22
And then can he
4?
hold off?
Can he go 22-4, 46 and change, and then hold off?
Yeah, exactly.
White Barrio,
Yeah.
all these other horses.
Let's
That's
also
the question.
remember, as far as positioning on the first turn, going 1.25 miles here.
Huge.
That is a long.
run.
They start way down
Yeah.
and they go all the way. I mean, that's a leap to the strike.
Plenty of time.
So he has time if he is if he breaks well and he's good enough.
Yeah, and that's the key question: is can he? Yeah. Because if Arabian Night clears by the first turn, he deserves to be sub 2-1.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he doesn't, and it's that simple of a question of whether or not you think he can get past Saudi Crown, and what are you going to see from Florent Giroux, who is notoriously not aggressive on some of these horses.
Who's the horse that I saw a question from Mark? Like, what happens if the 6 and or the 12 don't break well? So, like, if one of the is there a horse that could maybe sneak in there that you're not really envisioning could be on the lead, but next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, that horse is up there too.
I mean, it's wild. Proxy.
White Barrio will be up there, I think, if those two don't break.
If they don't break, it's White Barrio and Proxy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I don't love either.
Listen, I'm a White Barrio backer. If he's on the lead, I'm not going to be super happy.
I mean, actually, you know what? It's Dreamlight.
No, I don't think so. Not on the lead.
In the last 2 races of mile and 1/8 and mile and a quarter, the horse has gone 48 flat, 48-2, 48-3 every time. And a length off.
I still don't think. I don't know. I just don't think he wants to. Of course, he wants to be there versus he fell on it is 2 different things.
Yeah,
I don't.
can't. Yeah. Okay, let me rephrase this. I project Dreamlight will be 3rd. So if both of those don't break, I should probably project Dreamlight will be 1st. Like that's logic, right? Like
some Derma is showing up in the chat.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Well, here's the deal about Derma. Haven't ran it so long. Usually, you never know. They are a little hyped up when they come off that layoff, right? And I think he might go out there.
I mean, it's not like we've never seen a Japanese horse completely screw up a mile and a quarter race in the U.S. before, right, Jared?
Does it not feel like the UAE Derby was like 2 years ago?
3 years ago.
I mean, it's insane that's a race that he ran in this year.
Yes.
Honestly, Dermot Silvagati ran a pretty good Derby. Like
he was okay.
Yeah. The layoff is a huge problem for me. I thought this horse would run twice.
It was May. We saw that first Saturday May.
Like,
and by the way,
surely he won a Group 2 in Japan.
Like with Crimson Advocate today.
He ran.
Like, don't shut the door on him, but it's just like shit. That's hard to win from June to now.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Give us your top pick of the race of the Breeders' Cup Classic, and give like a kind of a random, interesting bet. that you might want to play here?
Me first?
Sure.
I think Guadabarrio is the winner. I really do. As it comes closer, I'm just really confident that he's going to run a big race, and if he does, I just think he's better than these horses. I'll put a disclaimer on it. I hardly ever picked this horse since his 3-year-old campaign in Florida. I just think he's the best horse. So I'm going to go Guadabarrio on top here. I am with Samich. I really like Bright Future. The more I watch those replays, I'm going to go Guadabarrio on top of Bright Future, Saudi Crown, and Arabian Night. So I'm going to go Guadabarrio in a try. Guadabarrio on top, and then those 3 horses in the second and third spots.
Yeah, give me Bright Future on the top. I think the price to me is really the last. I think Ushba and Bright Future have the same chances to win. But I'm getting 10 to 1 on one. I'm getting 4 to 1 on the other. If I'm building tries or supers, I'm putting those 2 on top. If I'm pressing a pick 4, pick 5, I'm putting those 2. I love the double in the last 2 races after what I saw today. I liked living the dream in the turf sprint going into today. I freaking love living the dream in the turf sprint coming out of today. And I think Sweet Boat Beach airs. So race number 10. 5-7 cold double. I think those are my best 2 bets of the day, and then my last 2 bets.
What do you think? Either one of them, but either one of those turf horses in the Breeders' Cup Turf, like Rodin and Most Def. What do you think those pay into Ushba double? And you could even go like Bright Future if you wanted to as well.
No, well, the Ushba, because I think Ushba's going off of 5 to 1. So let's do some quick math. 3 to 1 to 5 to 1, 15 to 1 on August Rodin into Ushba, then add let's call it a 20% bump. So I think you're gonna get about 19 to 1 on the 5-8, and on the 9-5, I think you're getting about 15 to 1.
Okay. I mean, to me, that's a play that I'm interested in playing. I got Ushba on top in this race. Don't hate the idea of maybe playing 2 like within here, like Ushba and Guadabarrio or Ushba and Bright Future or whatever, but like play a 2-2 double because it's gonna pay. Because the thing is, like, if you want to go against Guadabarrio and put like a horse like Bright Future, you're getting 10 to 1. I mean, whatever. That's the thing about this race. No matter who you pick, those doubles will pay because it's just a tough race to get to. So yeah, give me the 2 euros there that we talked about. Most Def and Augusta Rodin into Ushba double. I like that one. I also like a lot of just Ushba on top as far as any kind of my exotics because that's gonna help jump up this payout. I'm gonna try to beat Arabian Night on top.
I'm going to 2, and then I will have a very large pick 3 that is 12, 5, 7.
just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
I did see a question here from Kevin. We didn't talk about the race. Sorry. Good night, Olive. Do you think that's a lock tomorrow?
There's no such thing as a lock.
No, we know that.
I
from today.
did not. Okay. We talked about like handicapping for names. I went into this race trying to beat this horse. I came out of it thinking Good Night Olive's going to be really tough. I
agree. I think Good Night Olive is my most likely winner tomorrow. Which, by the way, means shit after today. Like, my most likely winner, I don't think is finished.
I actually think turf races, you have a better chance of hitting most likely winners. I think Innsbruck is the most likely winner.
I have the horse on top. So.
Would love that.
Yeah.
I think at this point, turf racing in the Breeders' Cup is more predictable.
Yeah.
That race, the Halterman, he kind of told me like when we were going through handicapping, he's like, make sure you go watch Good Night Olive that last race when she lost to Echo Zulu because you kind of forget about that race a little bit for a lot of reasons. Obviously, we just saw what we saw, and you're just kind of like you're not even really paying attention. And Echo Zulu was so good that you kind of forget. Yeah, Good Night Olive was really, really good that day too.
When you think about her at the Derby. Awful trip.
Oh,
I mean, it's just like there's
gotta be.
Well, it was a loss. It was a win.
Yeah,
basically.
And she's going to be close to the pace. 7 furlongs isn't a problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other horses that really struggle with 7 in that race, and so I think she's got a shot there.
Yeah,
big shot there. I have her on top. So
All right, guys, that's a good look at tomorrow's Breeders' Cup. That's all the time we have. It's been great the last couple of days. Ton of questions, ton of comments, ton of viewers on here. Appreciate that. Make sure you go to racingdudes.com if you want more info on tomorrow's racing. We have the betting Bible available right now with all the coverage you'll need, top 4 picks or top 4 horses for every race from the 3 of us there, as well as alternatized bets for tomorrow. I ended up today with I think a plus 27% ROI. It wasn't great, but I kind of got my way through there with a couple nice win bets. But yeah, it is a great start to the day or to the Breeders' Cup tomorrow. Hopefully, huge. I mean, tomorrow's gonna be massive. Make sure you go check out the Magic Mike show. They did the pick 5, right?
Yeah, we did late pick 5. So the pre-scratch Wednesday opinion pick 5. Take meld this in so that because I had pretty mischievous on top. I think that for instance, search results has a lot better chance today than I did on Wednesday because of what we've seen from the track. So meld the opinions in together, get a winner.
All right, guys, it's been real. It's been fun.
I've been real fun.
Say hi if you see us at the track.
Yeah,
definitely.
Coming out.
We had a ton of people today. Yeah, great talking to everybody today. It came up. And got a couple drinks out of the deal, so that's always we're never against that.
Just don't buy Aaron drinks.
Well,
Just wanna be clear. No bads for me on this show.
Yeah,
it's
good
true.
point. But you know what?
Should have saw him earlier.
You know what? You were warned.
Yeah, you were warned. Okay.
But I don't listen.
So, just to anyone listening, maybe that might be in the press, do you think that can you say hi to them tomorrow in the press room?
I will not be in the press room.
Shout out
Or
Graham
ever
Meadows.
again.
Yeah.
It's probably the last time we're credentialed here. So
I've got something you can do.
Well, not allowed to parade.
Boy, there's a story there, but we'll hold that for another day. All right, guys, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Alterman. He's Mike Savage. Hey, good luck tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, good luck.
Come on.
Huzzah!
All right. Good luck tomorrow, Saturday at the Breeders' Cup.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.